Welcome back, all. I'm here with Tufi, CEO and co-founder of HyperCycle, who are building arguably the biggest AI project in the world, the Internet of AI. This idea of AGI and artificial general intelligence, where AI communicate with each other. Feeling very blessed to have this interview. For full transparency, we've personally invested in the HyperCycle token. But I'm not hired by the company, although I'd certainly love to be. But with all those sort of disclaimers said and done, so if you tell us about your journey, from early crypto and AI work and then leading and founding HyperCycle.
Yeah, just to clarify, we're not in crypto or use crypto.
Mhm.
We're just agnostic and happen to have
A
less
token
than
attached.
1% of our assets that they happen to be in crypto in the HYPC.
Yeah.
The vast majority, they're
Mm.
basically the node factories and the nodes, they're all preserved in ERC 721, and it's
Mhm.
effectively on base, which is the vast majority of folks that they've moved about $2.5 billion worth of assets about
Yeah.
maybe 7 months ago, and then ours as well. So the total at the time was about like $3.5 billion dollars.
Hmm.
And the most recent valuation of the node factory based on a third party assessment agencies that they're
Yeah.
usually be used by mainstream companies, whether they are going public or whatnot. This is not the assessment of our company, it's more of the assets that we own in the entire
Yeah.
community. It's coming to be more than $5,000 per node factory
Wow.
at inception, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So sorry, there's a bit of clarity there. We've obviously invested in the token that then gets you basically, and you connect those to the node factory, and that's what earns you revenue. And that would basically be one of our next questions. I'm happy to jiggle things around. But yeah, tell us about, I mean, how you got to here. I mean,
yeah.
tell us your journey basically.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, from my perspective, I've been a technologist all my life. I've been a technopreneur all my life. I've had my first exit in AI back in 2002 with like
Mm.
anomaly detection and pattern recognition, and it's been a quite of a journey. Back in 2002, AI wasn't necessarily the thing that people talk about,
Mm.
but it's been the thing that we use into a lot of things that we to build systems that they can do certain aspects that they were not possible in the past.
Mm.
Uh, and fast forward to about maybe 2015, we were trying to solve some of the problems with. At the time, I had hired a CTO for that company. His name is Dan Tolliver, and I, called him up at like 4:15 in the morning, and I'm like, I think I figured the solution for that thing that we were trying to solve,
Yeah.
and that shortly after became a protocol called TodaIP and
Yeah.
TodaFile and there Toda, paradigm shifts, which is the maximum amount of decentralization that you could have.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to decentralization, a lot of folks they kind of talk about decentralization in a sense as if it's like something has to do with crypto. Well, we see decentralization the same way. The internet is decentralized,
Yeah.
or tries to be decentralized, and
Mm.
it's oxygen that you breathe is
It's
decentralized.
vital. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that's also the reason why people got into the space in the first place is that reason. But just to touch on what you were saying there about time, I mean, I'm aware of Toda, the sort of protocol. It's very
Yeah.
impressive. You like say it's been you've been here for ages. You've been here before all these terms were even a thing, and that's kind of why it's really incredible and respectable. I mean, I even found one of your personal YouTube channels where you're sort of going through the process back then. So if people wanted to go see some of those early early years, they can see that, and it's this isn't just, oh, AI has become a thing and you guys are now there. No, you've been there for ages, and that's crucial. What foundational moments shaped that approach to decentralized AI, would you say?
Yeah, so I think it's authoring Toda IP and co-authoring the whole Toda and Toda ecosystem
Hmm.
got me to what I'm doing actually here because I was at the AGI summit
Yeah.
at the Computer History Museum in California and
Mm.
was surrounded by 500 AI scientists from around the world, from whether it is the
Mm.
AI for Intel at a time or somebody's running some tiny little shops and or research or academics and practitioners and all that.
Hmm.
And I asked a question to everyone in the audience, and I
Yeah.
said, so we all know there's a race towards AGI, who's going to get to AGI
Mm.
first. And I know there's a lot of different definitions of AGI, but the common consensus that we agreed to at the time, and we still agree to it now, is that it's the point in time when you can ask the machine, what does it take for you, machine, to evolve, and the machine responds that it doesn't need any human, that it
Yeah.
can evolve without any human. It just needs like more resources. It says, give me $1 billion in 10 days, and I'll get to be 10 times faster, better, or whatnot.
Yeah.
And, and you can keep asking that question indefinitely, and it doesn't need a human. So we call that. Uh, so 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 there's a race towards AGI, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
even Zuckerberg borrowed to over $200 billion now to.
Crazy. Yeah. And he didn't really know what he was doing. He just knew he had to be there. So it's yeah. Whereas you guys were there but in the early years, not
So
just tagging along. Um.
when I win the
Yeah.
race, that's the question. And then uh, I said, is it going to be Google? Is it going to be Tencent? Is it going to
Mm.
be Chinese government, U.S. government? Is it going to be Microsoft, Facebook, whatever?
Mm.
Or maybe it's going to be the Internet of AI. This
Yeah.
is what I see what I said.
Mm.
So many people, they're like, wait, what do you mean by the Internet of AI? Do you mean like, Marvin Minsky, 1983?
Hmm.
Marvin Minsky is considered the godfather of AI. He passed. He was, one of my mentors. And if you don't know Marvin Minsky, you can look him up.
Yeah.
Uh, so anyway, um, he wrote a book back in 1983, like the Society of Mind, and I said yes, and many computer scientists at the time, they said, well, we all know this has been tried and tried and tried to have agents, multi-agents to talk to each other.
Mm.
They all have to depend on that third party,
Mm.
and that problem because depending on a third party, it doesn't matter what the third party they tell you, it doesn't matter how fast they are. Based on the laws of physics alone, if one part A is going to talk to B, but there's a third party, the laws of physics says nothing travels faster than the speed of light. So even the network tries to be as fast as speed of
Mm.
light. So in order to go to that third party and back and all that, it's a lot longer than what
Mm.
you'd need from the other one. So
Yeah.
we perspective, it's not possible. From cost perspective, it's not possible. And scalability, forget it. Like if there's one single thing, it's not possible to do.
Yeah.
We live in the time for those listening, it's November 2025, and there are already millions of AI agents.
Mm.
But if you listen to this, they're probably going to be billions. And in about a year or two, there will be trillions.
Mm. Yeah.
You'll you'll know that. So trillions, imagine that they depend on third party. It's not possible. So
Yeah.
then the people in the room, they said, well, yeah, well, we knew it's not possible. But then some of them, they knew
Mm.
about research that I'm involved in with the
Mm.
P and the results that they were able to achieve,
Yeah.
which the node to talk to another node. And they
Yeah.
said, let's maybe run it onto the IP, right? And then he
Mm.
said, yeah. And, 6 weeks later, they came back and said, hey, we want to build this AGI
Mm.
on IP. Do you want to be involved? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, maybe I'll lead that initiative. So that's what entire hypercycle. We named it hypercycle, and
Yeah.
October 2022 is when we open up the doors.
Wow. Okay. So it's not even been, yeah, that you've been building, like you said with the Toda, and then it's those are the doors are actually open for something that now actually works and people can use right now. What's the core vision and what is the Internet of AI? You've,
We have a bit of a different view than a lot of the people that they call themselves decentralized,
mm.
and they kind of repeatedly say that they want to win against the fight against the centralized entities like
Yeah.
Microsoft or Facebook or whatnot. And
Hmm.
we don't see it that way. We don't see it actually. We think the fight is over. We think that fight maybe
Yeah.
existed maybe 4 years ago. I think we figured a model where we use them as a node into the entire global network. So they're incentivized to be part of this Internet of AI.
Hmm.
And instead of like calling it decentralized and having to, go
Fight that
the terminology
conversation.
sometimes will end up
Mm.
like resulting into a lot of a fight or whatnot.
You
Why?
don't need
Why?
to.
It's much
Yeah,
better
yeah.
to do it collaborative. So what? So if you are right now, if you're working at Microsoft, if you're the CTO of Microsoft,
Mm.
what do you want to do with your AI? What does your AI want to do?
Mm.
There's two things. There's two things. Every single AI out there, they want those two things. It's either that you want your AI to get smarter or you want your AI to make more money,
Yeah,
right? Is
yeah,
there anything
exactly.
else that you want your AI to do? Like,
Exactly. That's a really good way to summarize it.
right?
Um,
So the precisely what we have, what we have built is a method for having we're currently 1,723 node factory owners.
wow.
And those node factories, there's the one that they are the ones that they produce nodes.
Yeah,
Those nodes are the ones that they're capable of plugging anyone from whether it's Microsoft or Google or tiny little shop in Nicaragua or
yeah,
Alaska to enable that to, it's kind of like as a human, how do you connect to the internet of
yeah, yeah,
human?
exactly.
You
Yeah.
you get to call the ISP and they give you they turn on the switch for your home,
Hmm.
whatnot. Um,
And
so
those
this is
developers,
analogous.
Microsoft or whatever, they can come in and basically, like you say, you're not having an argument with these people. They can get the benefits from Hypercycle, and then this is how people make money. Yeah.
Precisely. I mean, and we've noticed even for the last 1 year and 4 days
Mm.
is when a lot of the big players they started coming into the Internet of AI and building
Yeah.
components, which we've noticed with MCP, Anthropic, and then Google A2A, then
Mm.
Microsoft NLWeb, then Cisco Internet of agents, and of course you probably heard about the over 33 universities that are partaking in that. MIT, Nanda, and then you can see that all of the stuff. So we feel like rather than taking the approach of win lose, combative, or whatnot, it's a lot better to take the approach of collaborative because we
Mm.
are building a new pie for the entire world that's called the Internet of AI.
Yeah.
That new pie is estimated to be over $250 billion to the global
Yeah. Yeah.
economy. So there is no reason for us to look at something that already exists and take a piece of that pie.
Mm.
We are creating this new pie, and they are coming in. Even the big players, like I said, they are coming in to help build the pieces of that new pie. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great place to be in. So we feel like
Exactly.
going under the radar as much as possible
Mm.
to get network lock in before we turn on the network effect and let that 1,723 today. By the time it's probably will be 2,000 when we're like, okay, now it's time to turn on the switch and go through that network effect
Yeah.
and having the
Everyone
tens of
controls it.
thousands, so
Yeah. Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of node owners and not necessarily node factory owners
Hmm.
because most people on this planet they don't necessarily need to understand the
Mm.
node factory concept. What they care about is that if you're a node factory owner, you produce a node,
Mm.
produce 10 nodes. Every node factory can produce 1,024 nodes, including the one that you must keep.
Mhm.
So there's 1,022 that they can actually get to be released. And over the course of minimum 4.5 years, so they really need that time to be produced. Let's say you produce some nodes, and then someone from Microsoft comes in and says, "Can I use your node?" And what are you going to say? Of course,
Mm.
you'll figure out a model, even if they don't want to pay you initially.
Yeah.
By putting in that node, you can have a rev share
Mm.
if they intend to make more money.
Mm.
If they intend to get smarter, there's many different methods of how you can benefit in that equation.
Yeah.
So so now some people they want to sell the node directly. The
Mm.
node itself, if it's adding this much value, it can be worth on its own $500. They can produce
Mm.
1,024 of those. So so that's basically from a node factory owner perspective, you become more like the internet service provider
Yes.
for the Internet of AI. You see what I
Everyone
mean?
has their own kind of like if you're thinking in sort of web two, like everyone has their own page people come to, and that's what, but they can actually earn money from that. So you're basically here going over how individuals can earn money, how companies can get involved, how developers can get involved. Everyone has their own kind of model that they can build. How does so you've maybe HyperCycle is just another one of those. How do you guys actually, if someone, how do you guys actually make money and grow yourselves? Is it just continuous growth network effects?
Well, we have our business model is actually very boring.
Hmm.
We have innovated on everything except like the business model. The business model is like we sell software.
Hmm.
It's like you call Microsoft, you want to buy software.
Yeah.
There's two methods. There's the perpetual model where you buy, let's say, SQL Server for $30,000 from Microsoft. You never have to pay them again. We do similar to that. People that they buy the software that it's a node factory,
Hmm.
you know, $7,256, for example.
Hmm.
You buy that, and that gives you the ability to produce 1,024 nodes. This is the business that is buying this because they want to take it, run it, and produce nodes.
Yeah.
Okay. So for us, we're selling software. This is one method. The other method that we make money that it's much more on the long term because we have a finite amount of those node factories.
Mm.
So we can't depend on for a long time.
Mm.
So the other method is that those nodes they enable folks around to make more money, for example, or some others to get more intelligent. But effectively, um, if some nodes are making more money, when people they make more money, they're happy to be. It's like new money they didn't make before.
Mm.
There's a royalty that it's like 1%. They don't even like have to see it or pay it because it's like as it's happening for like let's say your AI is gonna charge 0.001 cent for
Mm.
some compute. Like
Yeah.
somebody sends a picture to your AI telling you who's in that picture.
Hmm.
You say my price is 0.001 cent. If you receive that 0.001 cent every fraction of a second or whatnot, your chances are you don't mind that you pay 1%
Exactly.
for hypercycle because if you continue paying that, then you continue keeping hypercycle to be
Yeah.
self-sustaining, profitable, and continue to grow to be, $1 trillion company. The math works out to be like that, and it's like it's a great way to go grassroots
Mm.
and find a way towards $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've built a different model. I'm going to say things a little bit more organically here that they can answer some of your questions that they're coming. So we went to this grassroots and we continue growing this grassroots and it's growing really well. Some
Mm.
of those entities that I said 1,723, some of them are super duper large. Others, they're just like one single individual. So they range, huge range. However, while we're going that grassroots, there's a different method going top down, and we go straight to the head of a nation, the president, the president's office, and
Mm.
all that, and we get an entire nation to be signed up
Yeah.
using one of the methods that we did in September was announced by the UAE that
Yeah.
the headquarter for HyperCycle was moved to the UAE along with investment, $452 million of investment. That 52 million goes in first, 400 million goes as a ROFR.
Mm.
But then the use of funds of half of that ROFR is to enable basically 200 million to 25 million per nation. And we call it nation building, where we would provide a nation $25 million in cash, $200 million in node factory,
Hmm.
so long as they have anchored into their own economy 225 million.
Mm.
When they understand it, they see this is like more money coming into their economy. There's nothing leaving. This is all proposal, all going in there. With that, they get to be part of like that Internet of AI and expand.
Mm.
But we choose nations that they are not political bias, that they are like,
Yeah.
friendly with everyone because this is technology for everybody.
Yeah.
Korea is one of those nations that which was a month after September 15th, was exactly October 15th at the National Assembly in Korea was announced by the Koreans that we were there and signed deal with many of the businesses, many of the institutions, and it was co-signed by the
Yeah.
government of Korea that they're
Yeah.
proceeding with that
It
project.
was an
So it's super
850 million
exciting.
valuation, wasn't it? I mean that's some of our later questions, but I'm happy to jump. I mean that's very very impressive, and it's sort of. I mean, people when they think of decentralized, they think away from governments and stuff. But I think you're saying no, that doesn't necessarily need to be the case, and you're kind of that bridge where you're saying not political, coming down to ordinary users as well. Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. We include everybody. We're agnostic, we include everybody.
Yeah.
Whether you're running governments or whether they're running whatever things, it's like everyone can partake
Mm.
in this new wealth
Yeah, yeah.
creation that is happening. Now, if people they don't believe in this wealth creation, they want to wait and see the numbers. They want to
Mm.
wait, wait, wait.
Mm.
Sure. I mean, you can wait and see the internet that happen, and then you can be like, oh yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Some bubble's going to happen. But
Mhm.
then, yeah, some people they still lose in the 2000 bubble, but then still a lot of others they still
Yeah.
build that entire internet that we all enjoy. And this is like
Mm.
the internet of AI. It's likely to be 10 times bigger in wealth
Mm.
creation. And when we bring it to those nations, they feel like why not? We need to partake. So remember,
Mm.
we need to bring to everyone and make them feel that there's an incentive for them to partake in this, as
Yeah.
opposed to tell them philosophically, you need to be part of the
Yeah,
decentralized
yeah.
world because it's a nicer thing for the world. People, they have different philosophies. It will be discussion that will go for a long time. Believe me,
Yeah.
Hector. I served with the ACM for a long time.
Mm.
ACM, the Association for Computer Machinery. Are you familiar with ACM?
It's
It's
the
ACM, Association for Computer Machinery, is considered the number one computer science in the world. It is
right.
the issuance of the Turing Award. I
Yeah.
served with the ACM, and ACM
Wow.
enabled me to tell the world about AI decentralized back in like 2016 and
Yeah, yeah.
whatnot. On behalf of ACM, like history, there's stamps on those stamps, and and just telling the world doesn't really get people to do things.
Mm.
Subsequently, after the ACM, the president of IEEE, are you familiar with IEEE?
I don't think so, no.
The Institute of Electronic Engineers. It is this one is the largest institute in the world, 480,000 members.
Wow, okay,
You
yeah, yeah.
know, as opposed to ACM is 100,000. This is like
Yeah.
larger, but it's effectively um, they at the time they asked me if I want to do the same as ACM. I said no, we need to do more actionable things because
Yeah.
IEEE. If you look at your phone right now, it has a lot of IEEE standards. If you
Right.
look at any device,
Yeah.
so I felt that maybe we can tell the story from the IEEE perspective. And
Mm.
again, telling stories doesn't really like
Yeah.
cut it. But when I got to the point when I found a method to actually build it and bring an incentive to the nation, they
Yeah.
take it. Bring an incentive to any company, they take it. Any individual, they take it.
Yeah.
So what's the missing here is the for them to learn.
Understand,
And
yeah,
if
which
they
is exactly
learn,
why we opened with you said it as well. We opened with like how can individuals, companies, governments make money with this? One, and two, how can we be more efficient and more intelligent? Those are the two things you said, and that's exactly what it is.
right, right. Yeah. So it's uh, it's basically hacking into Moloch, I call it. It's instead of like fighting philosophic or whatnot. Like why don't we work with the existing setting, provide the incentive for everyone the way they're used to it.
Mhm.
People they want to wake up every morning and make more money. Well, then this is what they're gonna do. They're gonna make more money, and then with that, they're able to partake in the creation of
Mm.
that Internet of AI, which means they're partaking in the wealth creation as
Mm.
well. Because
Yeah.
people they ask like where's this all money gonna come from? Like if grandpa was here in the room, he's
Mm.
going to be like, so you're gonna make money. Are you gonna get the money from Hector? Because long time ago, there's this piece of land, and somebody's gonna take this land, and the other person's gonna lose
Yeah.
it. Win, lose, win, lose. We're accustomed through, thousands and thousands of
Giving and
years
taking,
to
yeah.
think that it is a zero-sum game.
Mm.
While the reality here, what we're building in the Internet of AI is a positive sum game
Yeah.
where there's a new territory that you are creating out of nothing.
Mm.
And that new territory, it's likely to be more than $1 quadrillion. So there's room for everyone to partake in this and make a lot of money. 1 quadrillion is 1,000 trillion, just to put things in perspective. That's about 300 times Nvidia. This is
Right.
about like 1,000, about 600 times Google at this time. So my point is that like it's a lot of wealth creation is going to happen
Yeah.
whether you and I exist or not. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
but might as well enable a lot of people to partake in its creation and making it more secure, making it better for
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone. And we
Yeah.
would all win.
Yeah, the demand is basically, people want to be intelligent, more efficient, and it's kind of like service based. It's not like the land example you said is like give and take, whereas this is service based, and there is demand for that, and then people are offering those through the on the platform, basically through these nodes and node factories. So yeah, that's I
To
totally
just a little correction here,
yeah.
when you say people, I just want to tell you that the entire technology that HyperCycle provides from technology perspective,
Mhm.
it's only for machine to machine. If you actually have a human, it won't work.
Yeah.
But the people are the ones that they
Using yeah, yes, exactly.
owning.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but when you become an owner
Of the
of the
machine.
node factory and an
Mhm.
owner of the node, you kind of put the human in the middle of it
Yeah.
all. And
Mm.
from governance perspective, if you think about it from that perspective, instead of like applying some sort of like a new consensus or governance protocol or
Mm.
whatnot, it's very similar to how oxygen is or how water is.
Yeah.
It's already all over the place. There's some oxygen that you're already with you right now. You're breathing it in and then you breathe it
Mhm.
out and all of this. So it's like so that gives it a lot of strength
Yeah.
in from security perspective for those that
Mm-hmm.
they understand the the purpose of decentralization is to have security by construct as opposed to adding the security layers after, so you can depend
Mm.
on a third party. That is the reason for decentralization. It's not a political stance the way we see it.
Yeah.
And decentralization happens, so it eliminates that friction because you don't depend on a third party, but it gives you all those beautiful things when it comes to governance. That
Yeah.
governance of that global brain is spread out between a lot of people that they cannot, a single entity or single individual cannot control it. And in that way, it's a lot safer.
Yeah.
Some people, they might give you some scenario that say by putting it that way, it's not safer, but that the likelihood for that would be like 0.0000001%.
Hmm.
The most, if you bring like Russell Stewart, for example, one of the computer scientists, or Benjo, by looking at the entire thing, you'd be like, of course, this is safer. Of course, like
Hmm.
it's a no-brainer. So, which also means that's an added incentive for the people that they have a little bit of ethical considerations, a little bit of moral things
Hmm.
towards next generation. That they feel like it's not only that they want to make a lot of money for their companies, they're
Hmm.
actually building a better future for many generations to come,
Yeah.
and that's extremely important. You
And
know?
valuable as well. I mean,
Yes.
it's progressing civilization in a because otherwise you could get this in the wrong, not this, but someone could create something that's, kind of not decentralized and not good for society, whereas this is for everyone and controlled by everyone. So yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, perhaps let's touch on the kind of tech. I think I'm quite clear now on the sort of value and how people can make money and how everyone's becoming more efficient. But perhaps now touch on like the technology and the differentiation, obviously hypercycle speed and microtransactions with Toda. Perhaps touch on some of that and maybe Earth 64.
No, absolutely. The Earth-64 is a data structure that is fully decentralized. It's kind of like the think of the equivalence of like an IPv6,
Hmm.
but it's by construct. It's for the computer scientists that they're listening. It's like called an Earth 64 because it is it's fully fully saturated incomplete binary search tree of like 64 levels. Okay,
Yeah,
for those that are not computer scientists and don't want to understand what the heck is this,
yeah,
what
yeah.
this is, it has the reason why it's called Earth-64 because it has the relatability for the remaining 99% that they're not computer scientists,
Mhm.
so they can understand what a unique number that no one can use and make sure that that is
It's
unique.
like a license basically,
The,
so that, to
the
prove that they
Earth
own the node.
cr-
Yeah.
created it. No, so if you get anyone on the planet,
Hmm.
doesn't matter what education they come from, doesn't have computer science,
Hmm.
so long as they have like a little bit of intelligence, you tell them take the finger and touch the floor where you're at.
Mm.
If is that a unique spot on planet Earth? What are they gonna say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You've heard of before electricity, there was these things called geospatial coordinates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it has a unique number, longitude, latitude. That
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
number, that number is part of that entire tree. Those are the leaves of the tree.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for computer science. It makes sense for anyone that is a
Mm.
unique number. So imagine that that unique number corresponds to uh, one of the nodes that your node factory, let's say, can create. Okay,
Mm.
or that number corresponds to where if you're running a node, is like where you safeguard the money that you have put them in. So then it's like you have all of those things. They're unique. So yeah, so that's like one of the things
Mm.
that we use, but we're not the only ones using University for. There's so many other businesses using it for different things, which is
Yes.
super cool. It makes it interoperable. It's super
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, so that's part of the equation. The other part of if you're looking at all the pillars, what
Yeah. The
constitute.
blockchain-like and micropayments angle, I guess, is the other major one, isn't it?
Yeah, but we there is something. This is actually very important for you to understand, and for
Mm.
anyone who's listening. With TodaIP, we initially were looking into how to fix the existing world by providing this peer-to-peer technology to enable people to transact with each other without having to depend on a third party, such
Mm.
as a bank or blockchain or government or whatnot.
Mm.
But the conclusion that I have came to that even if that technology solved that problem of having this dependence of the third party, it creates those third parties to be enemies because now you're telling them that they are not needed anymore, and having to replace that is a tough battle being against all those three.
Yeah.
So when I took that shift and I started focusing on just like the AITI and that
Mm.
Internet of AI,
Hmm.
I kind of took a vow and I said that I will not step in your territory.
Mm.
So you cannot use HyperCycle. You literally cannot, even if you're a computer scientist.
Yeah.
You can take it, you try to use it for human to transact, whatnot, it doesn't work.
Hmm.
It only works for machine to machine
Yeah.
with, cryptographic proofs and all that. So it only works for the enablement for the Internet of AI.
Mm.
So that if you want to abide by whatever rules that like the banking system does or
Mm.
blockchain or governments, whatnot, you can always put those rules that you've got in the humans and you maintain them throughout.
Yeah.
We don't make any changes to that. So
Exceptions. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something extremely important because some people they might see this as like, wait, how can you get like governments to be signed up with this thing? Isn't that like gonna get them not to have control?
Yeah.
Well, because we literally the code that we have and all of the development plans and all of these things, it
Mm.
is nowhere near the different capability that you have in implementation to enable a human.
Mm.
So we know that this cannot be used for that. It won't disrupt that world.
Mm.
That let's say the current internet is like let's say $100 trillion. Leave them be. We're focusing on the quadrillion, and with that, Hector, we ended up getting those three that they used to be enemies in the world of Toda to be now
Yeah.
all partners.
That's a really good way to describe actually, because otherwise people think, oh, you're trying to put micro processors and transactions and Stripe out of business, whereas actually these guys can come in and use it and just enhance what they've already got. I think that's helpful to know, and that's inclusive rather than being a competitor on things. So that's really good. I mean, and then just expanding on that, what sort of partners, I mean, do you have? I mean, obviously there's 3D Capital, which probably support, financially and on an advisory level. I think there's Google A2A, and some other partners. Obviously, huge transaction you did with the South Korean government. I mean, touch on some of these partners and what they add and how they get involved.
Yeah. So currently, it's set up in a way that the only thing that it's missing is the learning for people. Doesn't matter
Mm.
who they are, what they're doing. If they are breathing
Mm.
today, they're partaking in the creation and Internet of AI without them knowing, and they're not benefiting if they're just breathing. But if they learn a little bit about the stuff that we're doing and what Google A2A is doing,
Mm.
and Google AP2 as well, and MasterCard and Visa and Microsoft and a lot of like blockchainers and a lot of like all of those things that they are movement that is building that Internet of AI,
Mm.
being actionable in it, you end up partaking in that wealth creation as opposed to just like sit back and help build it without benefiting from it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So that's something that it's extremely important that people they feel like, wait, I will go in. I heard Tufi saying this. I want to partake in this.
Mm.
How can I?
Hmm.
Well, if people they don't have any money, they just want more learning. There's a lot of like sponsorships for the learning because the
Yeah,
learning can cost money. If
yeah.
instead of spending $3,000, you can apply, and someone like Sheldon's got a lot of node factories who has tickets, he can sponsor you.
Mhm.
There's other smaller training. They don't cost a lot of money. He would get you into those. It will get you to a point in 8 minutes, eight
Mm.
minutes
Really?
to actually learn how to start get like a node factory or like as an operator,
Yeah.
and then to 8 days that can be stretched through 8 weeks that can be a little bit costly
Mm.
and give you like a certified thing. So that's like if somebody doesn't like have any money but they want to partake in this,
Yeah.
they have the opportunity to do so. If somebody has money and want to also do this, they can still do this, and they can say, okay, I'm going to spend $7,000, 7,256, and buy a node factory
Mm.
and grow it as a business. Like, how would you
What was
grow
that
it as a
figure? Sorry,
business?
as well. I think it's quite an important figure. So there's a minimum, isn't there? There's a minimum number of tokens or dollar amount to purchase a node and a node factory.
I am saying the actual number that is a lot more expensive than today because
Yeah.
I'm saying the number that we have committed with the South Koreans, and
Yes.
they are sending their audit on behalf of the Korean government
Mm.
to do the audit. And at the moment the audit steps in, the
Yeah.
price we cannot sell it for less than $5,000 for Node
Right.
Factory, the wholesale,
Yeah.
and the retail would be 7,256. So
Right.
that
Okay.
moment could happen next week, the week after. But
Mm.
right now it's selling as a 2,100, the retail, and the wholesale is 1,450.
Right. Okay.
So that's a node factory
Mm.
that it's raw without added bells and whistles. There's something called
Yes.
C8, which is 8 different software components. If you elect to add those software components, those are different entities that they build those components that they can
Right.
make it like faster because of the search or quantum
Yeah.
cipher that can get it faster. There's all of those things. If you
Mm.
add those things, those on their own, they're 5,850, all those eight.
Yes. Because is
So
that where the evaluation? Because obviously it was a $1.1 billion deal, very impressive. But the valuation was 850 million. Is that based on that sort of 5 to 7,000 figure? But at the moment, basically, people can still buy at 50% of that.
less than 50%. Yes, it's
Yes. Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
2,100 instead of 7,256
Wow.
for the
Okay. Yeah.
retail, or basically 1,450 instead of
Mm.
the 5,000. And legally, we cannot sell it for less than $5,000 once we actually sign the
Yes.
the audit, because the audit, they come in, they confirm this is the asset, and then it's a done deal.
Wow.
Then that transmission that we initially, the Korea got lucky because we allocated $200 million because they were at that price, the
Yeah. Yeah.
1,450. But then as we're going through the deal and we receive one of the reports from one of the third-party assessment agencies saying we're not finding any scenario for the node factor to be worth less than $5,000.
Mm. Mm.
So we were upfront with the Koreans, but we said we're still going to honor the deal, the same
Yeah.
quantity we're going to put it in, which gave us $850 million of assets being transferred. And that's why the entire deal is 1.1 billion instead of 450 million.
Yes.
Every other country, we don't have this much for every other country. Every other country we're going to sign up will be the original deal, which is 450 million.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So 200 million of node factories, 25 million in cash, and then that's so long as they anchor the 225 million. You
Right.
see?
Okay. I think I get that now. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
interesting. I mean,
The audit is important to them because they can audit the entire process and they can see that none
mm,
of that is like leaving their country. It's like it's all of that staying in there.
yes.
So they feel at least that is good from accountants' perspective. They feel
Mm.
good at that. But then
And for
uh,
existing hypercycle users and people looking at hypercycle, oh blimey, the government's come in, they've audited it, and it's secure.
Right. And then as we move forward, like right now, the next set of government, if they come in in very short period after the Koreans, they're probably going to get it to do the backing based on that $5,000.
Mm,
But if
mm,
the market continues to have the demand to bring it up, and it might be like $12,000, then they get
yeah.
it at that price.
Mm,
So yeah, that backstop is important because the reason why they put that backstop because they want you to protect their own market.
mm,
So they're putting 200 million in cash to protect the 200 million of node factories, let's say at $5,000 a piece.
yes.
Right. So what happens? How does that work? Here's how it works. Um,
Is there a limit?
if
So you said there's a limit on the node factories, but not on the nodes, or how many? So is that why they're protective?
the node factory can produce 1,024 nodes. So let's say you have a
Hmm.
client. Let's say you're in Korea and a client comes into that new Korean entity that's called HyperCycle Korea
Hmm.
and gives you buys the node factory from you for like $5,000.
Mm,
Or let's say you give them some sort of a deal, whatnot, you give it for 4,500, whatever. Let's say
mm,
they give you the money, they take that node factory and they plug it into their computing center or they plug it whatever they're doing, and they start operating into the system, into the entire system.
mm,
And if they, so long as it bypasses the second generation of creating nodes,
mm,
which is basically the way the node factory works is that it must consume minimum of 6 months to go through the first generation,
mm,
and it produces nodes. Then the second generation is those two, the smaller factory, they produce two nodes,
mm,
each two node factories. But then those that they course like L10, then L9 they produce L8, and those L9s they get to be released. You can take them. So the
right.
moment you get the L9 release, you will have a period of like 2 weeks and say that, you know what, this thing is not for me. You go and press on a button and you get that $5,000. That's what that cash is there to back it, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
then you feel like it is protected by that, so it de-risks the equation for the market. But it's very intelligent in a way that most people, when they run it for that long, they will know that that value of their business is higher. Why? Because that production of those nodes, every single node has a value in
Yeah.
the world that it's objective reality value that is not subjective.
Yeah.
What's the difference here? Let me tell you the value of the US dollar, the value of is Bitcoin, the value of anything. Those are subjective. Us, a
Mm,
human, we attribute value into it.
mm,
If a Martian comes to planet Earth and look at that dollar bill, they're like, what the heck? What is this?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, what doesn't have value. But if they look at the node that's been produced by Node Factory,
Mm,
it's a math that is universal, physics,
mm,
cryptography, all of these things,
mm.
which enables the node to be used by Tencent, by Google, by Chinese government, by the
Yeah.
US government, because the construct of it has all the cryptographic proofs for it to come to exist,
Yeah.
that it's all based on math. You see
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah, so
that
so I
way,
mean that's actually a crucial point because basically the focus for everyone watching is basically there are node factories. There's a limited amount of them. What's the actual? How many node factories are there? Would you say? So each one produces 1,024 nodes. But how many
yeah,
factories are there?
the total for all the node that could be produced by all the node factories is 2 to the power 31 minus 1.
Two to the power 31, and then we'll have to do
Minus
some
1.
maths on how many factories that is. The reason I ask is because kind of like what you were saying about subjective and objective. I mean, even for example, the token and the purpose of that, you said it's only 1%, and some of those tokens are used to get node and node factories or node nodes themselves. It's just the
Yeah,
token. Yeah.
that's one of the methods that um, that's so one of the methods that people do, which most of it is moved to base for the creation
Yes.
of ANFI, the Advanced Node Factory enclosure,
Yeah.
and so that one, or some folks call the adaptive node factory enclosure, that one has is only on base, and
Mm.
the so there's an ERC20 on base that is called HYPCE, and
Hmm.
that one has a floor of $1.18. Why $1.18? Because the existing community got initially the HYPC to $1.18 for that utility because they're
Oh,
buying it to go and marry it into making those node factories. It's like
yes.
it all fully organic. Everybody that knows how to audit things, they can go and audit all of these things. They would see that
Mhm.
it's like, holy shit, this is one of the very few companies that they didn't put a dime to faking anything. It's all organic. So
Yeah.
what happens at that point, from that point onwards,
Mm.
there are all of those that they could be shady, start doing they do like pump and dump schemes or whatnot.
Mm.
Uh, to protect the ones that they don't want to do the pump and dump, we move all of those things on base
Yeah.
and then let them go and bury themselves. So
Yes,
they did
I
bury
suppose your team
themselves.
you were on you're getting everyone across from the Ethereum network onto base, and then that's more, I guess, decentralized as well. And we've got these node factories and nodes.
Well, I
Mm,
mean, because we don't really use any of the blockchain for the work. It's just it's a
mm,
representation. You can have the representation anywhere so long as it's like immutable or irrefutable and whatnot. It's a
yeah.
representation of the node factory that you have, but all the work that your node factory does, it has nothing to do with any blockchain whatsoever. So it's
Mm,
all, a true peer-to-peer ledgerless system that can actually get it to operate at the scale that is desired and the speed and
yeah.
the efficiency.
So,
Yeah. So
I guess then how important is kind of like it sounds like developers are quite a key part of all of this. How are you sort of fostering relationships there? And are they the ones that would say earn the most amount of money because they have the most knowledge about how to manage the machine, basically to communicate to machine?
yeah, my prediction is that the world's future multi-trillionaires and quadrillionaires are going they're node operators.
Yeah, yeah,
And kind of said it live. So the the node owners, of course, are going to do well, but it's like mainly like the node operators. If they are node owners and node operators, then it's like great, it's even better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the the methods that we have used to kind of get a lot of developers to be excited about this
Mm,
is inclusive to them as well, because if you think about it from the perspective like when we look at whether it is the crypto world or whether it is the fiat world, there's always some companies, like I found, for example, in the crypto world, if you find the legit ones, in the
mm.
crypto world, you find the best and the worst people on the planet. You don't find a
Yes,
lot of people in the middle,
it's
right?
so true, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Right. So, I was on a, I was in a panel with someone with a name Justin, and he invited somebody from Chicago, I think, and they had one of the companies that they do. It's called Pi Squared, and the way they describe it to someone who doesn't know technology so much might think that, oh, this is the same. It's also do does peer-to-peer whatnot. But what they do is effectively is a TM transaction machine. HyperCycle Node has VM, AIM, and a TM. In a TM transaction machine, you can have TodaIP, you can have like that company is called like Pi Squared. You can have
Mm.
uh, Bitcoin Lightning Network because if you like it,
All right,
you
okay.
can put if you're a fan of Visa and Mastercard, you can plug it in there too. I mean, yes,
Wow.
it's probably going to be slower than Toda
Yeah, exactly.
IP,
You wouldn't want you can
but
you're not against them, but it's gonna
but
not be as
but
efficient. Yeah,
you
yeah.
can put Google AP2.
Mm,
Google AP2 today. I don't know if you're aware of it. It was announced on September 16th,
mm,
2025, which is a couple of months ago.
mm,
And they say that they don't have the capability for agent to agent to talk without any third party yet.
mm.
So, so if you're using those and then you can extend the Google AP2
Yeah,
on the hypercycle, and that's great too. Look, I mean, all we're doing here is doing what we do best and not stepping into someone else's thing
yeah,
that they
yeah.
do best. We're enablers.
You're
We're
enabling
the
for them. Yeah.
network.
In fact, they're
We're
the
the
ones that would
network.
probably make the most money if they partnered with you guys as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
They're the
We
ones that
make
would make the most.
1%. They make
Yeah.
99%. Like it's like if you're running, so yeah, so those
Mm,
are like the random, anyone can
mm,
partake. I gave you the two examples, somebody who
mm.
has some money, somebody doesn't have. But now if you talk about different use cases, somebody who's spending money on AI,
Mm.
There's a lot of people that probably listening be like, man, our AI bills like $10 million a month
Yeah.
or whatnot. So we have an actual model for those that are already spending the money
Mm.
to put it in front of like the lot of the node factory owners, and they get proposals, which is fascinating.
Mm.
Hector, it's fascinating. It's like, here's the thing. In the world that we live in today, any computer scientist, any actually not only
Mm.
computer science, economists would know any software that is out there over time, it loses value. Any
Mm.
hardware over time loses value. When you plug that node into it, the node itself gains value. The node
Yeah.
factory as well gains value. So what happens, those node factories, they come in and plug in into the money that you're already spending anyways.
Mm.
And then they're able to accelerate their growth because you're giving them some to compute. That synergistic
Yeah,
emergence
exactly. They're
is
getting more intelligent. Yeah, yeah.
one plus one. I kid you not. I'm gonna give you real numbers here, and you can quote me in it anytime, and I will defend it from now until the eternity. Okay, this is the
That's
first time
amazing.
anyone's gonna hear about it in a public place. But I'm gonna give you those numbers.
Right. Wow.
Yes, so the numbers, and I'm gonna tell you here. Happy to share screen as well if you want. But okay, if you have a node factory and you're running it on your own,
Mm.
and you spend all the proper way by the protocol and all that, you produce all the 1024 nodes.
Hmm.
And let's say you couldn't really do it in 4.5 years because you don't have the most optimized compute and all that. Let's
Hmm.
say it took you like 9 years to produce all of them.
Yeah.
Based on almost every third-party evaluators, what you have is something that it's worth at that point, the entire business with all of those the nodes that you have
Yeah.
created, that they're running. You have a business that is worth about $732,000.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Uh, Hector is in that same period is spending, let's say, $2 million in compute.
Yeah.
Okay. Comes in and says, like, man, how can we put those two together and get something out of it? So you tell Hector, well, listen, Hector, I spent 7,000, 256 on this thing, and now I'm building it, and now it's like $762,000. This is not some speculative thing. This is work that I'm doing. This is like you
Mm.
buy a coffee shop and you work so hard to expand to become a
Yeah.
thousand
Yeah.
coffee
Yeah.
shops. Okay. So I have a trajectory. I'm working on it. I get there. But if you come in and plug your 2 million here, I will be able to achieve instead of 732,000, the
Mm.
doesn't lie.
Mm.
I'll be able to achieve a business that is worth $4 million because you help me accelerate my
Yes.
production and you help me accelerate the ratio and all of these things. Okay.
Well,
Because I'm generating more proofs based on the
yes.
compute. So
Yes. Yes.
what happens with that, then you tell Hector, so the delta here between
Mm.
732,000 and 4 million is 3.3 million,
Yeah.
3,310,560. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Upside. Yeah.
How about if we split this, but why would I split it with you without a lot of people are spending $2 million?
Mm.
Maybe you will pay me $500 a year. I mean, you're spending 2 million already. Spending
Mm.
500 extra a year is not like, and now you know that you're gonna have something that is worth $1.6 million when you spend that 2 million. Holy shit, dude! No, like this is amazing. You have so now the 2 million that you spent is not all gone. Like you spent it, you got the compute because you benefited into your business and all that. This is great. But having this part of this asset in that Internet of AI, that part of that wealth creation that now belongs to you
Yes.
is extremely significant.
It's valuable
And
as
now,
well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You're actually owning something. Yeah.
yes, now
Tangible.
if you are
Like the
this
South Korean government have just said, like they're auditing this is tangible. That is there. Yeah.
100%. Now
Mm.
that's if you are spending the money on AI.
Yeah.
If you are selling AI, same thing,
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. If you're selling $2 million of compute, what do you have? You have computers that in 4.5 years they're going to be worth 10% where they are today. They're going to lose 90% of their value.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So how about for every $2 million that you're selling computers like that the
Mm.
same period, you're gonna have some asset that is worth $1.65 million in an objective reality because it has
Yeah.
utility.
Yes.
And why does it have utility? I mean, can I tell you why? I know that's like we probably over time. This is the most important part. Why does it have utility? Why does it have value? If someone at that point figure out a model to kind of replicate this hypercycle, they're like, we see Bitcoin, let's make a copy of that Bitcoin. Okay, well, it can be Bitcoin Cash, can be Ethereum, whatever things. This thing, whoever, like somebody figures out something like, oh, we're going to build something extremely like identical, all these things. Whatever happens, if it's going to be interoperable, it's going to actually amplify the network effect. That's A.
Hmm.
B, if Hector worked so hard on producing those nodes, what those nodes have, they have that entire history that using that time, the time that it consumed to get more and more credibility in
The
an
true
objective
credibility, yeah.
reality. That credibility is opened even to the Martians. If they look at it, be like, holy shit, this is real credibility. It's not just based on human.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that, at any point in time in the future, you can have any software in A and B, put them in A and B, identical. Put any software in A, the entire Microsoft world, and
Mm.
put it in A, and put exactly the same thing in B. But then plug the node in front of A that Hector worked on that has all of this
Ages, yeah,
history, it
yeah.
has all of this
Gives you the credibility that
reputation.
they had. Yeah, I really rate that,
A
yeah.
Martian is going to choose between A and B
Mm.
every single time. Is going to choose A, A,
Yeah,
A.
yeah, yeah.
That node has more value that it's
Yeah.
objective reality, not just
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
somebody thinks it has more value.
Well,
So yeah, man.
credibility is key. I mean, we do a lot of outreach and email marketing, and if you don't have a credible domain, you get thrown into spam immediately. No
Right,
one's gonna. You have to have something that's been there for years and years. So, but it's good that you're
right.
saying that actually people can plug into one that is credible, so that they can speed up the steps. And one question I was leading into there when you were talking about figures, and we were talking about
Mhm.
who's going to make the most. Obviously, if someone has expertise and they have a big team behind them, they're going to get to this end product, the 1024 nodes faster. So I guess the question for you is where how does an average Joe, how long would it take for them maybe to build something pretty impressive? Would they need to like do what you're saying, plug into some of these others? And then are people sharing the rewards of those network effects, or is still kind of one person or a group of people who are very well experienced receiving most of those rewards?
Well, in this example that I've just given you, I'm just
Hmm.
going to stick to that
Hmm.
so that I can give you numbers. If Joe, who's
Hmm.
not necessarily very technical, but Joe, what is Joe good at? Anything, let's say biz dev, okay,
Hmm.
is able to score that deal with somebody who is selling that compute somewhere,
Yeah.
or somebody who's buying that compute somewhere is able to get that deal, then Joe is going to own less than 1024 nodes,
Hmm.
but have a bigger pie. So remember those numbers that I was just talking about? Instead of Joe having $732,000 business in like
Hmm.
9 years, he's going to have it now in 4.5 years.
Hmm.
And then the 4.5 years, all of his nodes, they're unlocked. They're basically to be produced. All of them, the 1024, they're out.
Hmm.
And that partner who came in and was spending the 2 million anyways,
Hmm.
if that partner gave him a deal to say, here's like, I'm paying you $500 a year, and then okay, Joe will be like, great. So then that delta, the 3.3 million, will split it half half.
Hmm.
Some other deal comes in, and the way they do it like via like a smart contract. Like all of those smart contracts, they're being built as we speak. So
Hmm.
Joe can find the smart contract. Oh, I could just plug it in there and I can get somebody to go and point at it. So I don't have to go to court. I don't have to go to whatever. Somebody
Yeah.
can go in there and they will spend their money through those nodes and they will end up taking from the 1024, let's say the 341 nodes in that example that I've just
Yeah.
given you.
Yeah.
But all of those nodes, they have a higher ratio, and that's why the nodes that Joe still owns, they're
Yeah.
worth more, and the other guys worth more. So that's one scenario. Other
Hmm.
scenario is people they'd be like, I don't want to pay you $500 a month.
Yeah.
But initially, you only have like one, and then what? How about we put it in a scale? 100, then 161, then 400. The total, you're still going to get you $4,500,
Yeah.
but we put it in that scale, and Joe will be like, okay, that's fine, that's fair. Because sometimes people halfway through, they may not necessarily want to continue, but at
Hmm.
least they take maybe like they haven't really lost a lot of money or they don't have to take pieces. pieces that they've been built. So
Mm,
so all of that that it's spec in that smart contract, Joe just
mm.
has to point people to it. It doesn't have to be technical. Like you don't have to just handshake it. You can just put it there, and in case we forget what the deal is, it's all handled without having to rely on lawyers, whatnot, to kind of deal with the stuff. This is one of
Yeah, just linking to
the
that. I mean,
opportunities.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
and exactly linking to that, and like not needing all these irrelevant kind of third parties, and there's trust there. You've got contracts. That the touch on this idea of, I mean, we have touched on it, but the actual words proof of useful work, and you've got these verified contracts that you can trust, and you can trust transactions on the network. Yeah,
right.
just touch on that side of things and a bit more.
Yeah, this is actually a very important point.
Mm,
There's two heartbeats happening in the node. There's the or more, at least, but at least two.
hmm
There's the entire node that has a heartbeat. There's something that's called tilling, which is the work that the node is doing to kind of run the system.
Yeah,
And there's the TM, the transaction machine has its own heartbeat, whether it is like TodaIP or like we said, the TM, you might adopt Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a heartbeat every 10
yeah.
minutes. Ethereum every 56. So that's another TM that has also heartbeat. Okay, so
Mm,
so at least you have two heartbeats that are going. At least two.
mhm,
You could have many TMs. You can plug any TM that you want.
mm,
So that's what you have. Now the tilling, what we call it tilling, because it is work that is needed by the entire network to run this network and have those nodes to talk to each other without having to depend on a company called HyperCycle.
yeah.
If somebody comes and tells you exactly what I'm telling you, but that you depend on them because they have a ledger, because of some other things, walk away.
Mm,
You cannot depend on any third party. The moment you depend on a third party,
yeah.
the entire thing becomes an intranet, not an internet. No matter what anyone tells you, even if that thing is like 10 cent, even if it's like the US government or the Chinese government, it will become intranet, not
Mm,
internet.
yes.
But by following that method that we have created, it's the node factory has to do the work
Mm,
that is called tilling, and that work is the thing that enabled to create those nodes.
mm,
If a central entity or any decentralized, even consensus mechanism, they decide to create nodes out of thin air, whatnot, walk
yeah.
away. Because like people that can
It's,
do, they can actually Sybil attack the system, they can do all kinds
yeah,
of stuff.
exactly.
Those nodes,
So
they have to
important.
follow method that it's objective reality that any intelligence from anywhere in the entire universe can look at it, be like, yes, this is super cool. This is how this comes to
Mm,
exist. And that's why I'm willing to trust A versus B with that
yeah, yeah,
model to give. You see what I mean? So
yeah, yeah.
that's the key here. It's like people, when they understand that, they'll be like, oh, now I see. So you as a company, you make the node factories and you have a finite amount of node factories, which is
Yeah, yeah.
2.15 million.
hmm
And every
1.5
node
million.
factory, yeah, 2.15 million is the total number. They're currently about 680 or 690,000 node factories that they're owned by the 1,723
Which is
different node
okay.
factory owners. So including
What
the two gentlemen
there's
that you
still
just
there's
mentioned.
280,000 used at the moment by the 1,023, but there's 2.15 million of that could be over, yeah, that there's a limit on. So
We still own about 2.5 or something. We own as much as that it's worth about 8.5 billion as of now.
hmm
So that's
You know
just
in
like the
dollars
node
amount, yeah,
factories.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's based on that $5,000. And
hmm
if you do it under 1,450, it would be about 2.9 billion or something like that. But anyway,
Oh,
the
yeah.
point here is that
The
we
trust, yeah.
what we're building is that how we can go from the 8.5 billion to 85 billion. That's what we've been focusing on for the last 6 months. Is
hmm
that because we want to make sure that this is expands. Because if it's really gonna be like technology for everyone, we're likely to be if we get to harness or capture 0.1% of that Internet of AI.
Mm,
That's $1 trillion.
really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah, 0.1% of a quadrillion is a trillion. So yeah, but you have people like Russell's Stewart, who says that this is going to be 14 quadrillion, not one
Mm,
quadrillion. So
mm.
it depends.
So yeah, the
Who you
valuations are
ask.
so crazy. I think it's very exciting. But
And
I really
people, they
liked
think
your
it's a
point about
bubble
the
is going to burst. They have no idea. No, it's not a bubble going to burst. We're
yeah.
entering a new territory in this world. Those people that tell you bubble going to burst, maybe they will they will try to manufacture burst because they're so convinced it's going to burst.
Mm,
But the
mm,
reality, this is the very first time in the history of humanity. Forget about like those you're
mm,
following some patterns or
mm.
whatnot. You follow patterns, you followed in crypto, you followed in finance, you
Yeah,
followed on Wall Street. But here, this is the very first
it's
time in the history
learning.
of humanity
Mm.
we're building we're building an organism that will outlive us. We're
Yes.
building our organism that will be smarter than us, and we're giving that life. There's not
Yeah.
a single not a single being that ever existed on planet Earth, as far as we know, or anywhere in this universe,
Mm.
that gave birth to a different kind of species that could outlive it, as far as we know. We
Yes.
haven't seen this happen,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So this is the very first time that we're doing this, and some people they want to apply some
Mm.
pattern from the
Very
past.
clever.
They don't know what they're talking about. Like you bring
Yeah. 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 No.
Ray Dalio on the call right now here. I can provide Ray Dalio with some information. With his intelligence, he will be able to change his every view that he's had for the last 6 months. Because everything
That's
that he
very
sees
true.
is based on the history. I'm telling
Yeah.
him portions of the future. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
I get it as well
people, yeah.
because it's something that it will end up, like you said, there's some human input and it's a machine, but it will be continuously learning and only get better. So that's where I understand that it can only go up. So I actually feel like I do get what you're saying, whereas normally there are things that go
Yes,
through waves. This is actually something that's learning, constantly learning. So therefore it can't go down. It can only go up.
Stuart Russell might be right. You know what? $14 quadrillion.
Mm,
That's 5 times bigger than the global economy. You know what that means? That
mm,
means that everything that exists in the old world, if it's not part of this new world,
mm.
is will be worth 1/6 of what it's at today in the next 4 years. So it's
Yeah.
like you'd better be part of this. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
you know, and if
I
she's
how do obviously I'm now thinking about how to get more deeply involved, but I guess if you're just an average Joe trying to get you probably desperately want one of these node factories at least. I mean, obviously at the moment it's sort of $2,000, but they're about to be 5,000 to 7,500. I guess if you don't get to that point, you're working with nodes, but you can work towards a node factory or
yeah,
purchasing.
we feel like on its own, think about it on its own. Like it's like, when you go and incorporate a business
Mm,
to get a business to be worth like, $700,000.
mm.
In that incorporation process, you hire a lawyer is going to cost you 2,000 or
Yeah, it's so
7,000.
irritating.
It's
Yeah.
not really the main thing. Like this
Mm.
isn't where people should be looking into like, oh, that's how I make money. So even if somebody listening to this, most likely
Mm.
going to be listening to this, it's already $7,000. So it's like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Well, I
this
could get
isn't
this out
the
tomorrow, but we'll have to. I think there's a lot to digest here, so I'm gonna have to really mull it
right.
over. But
One more thing.
mm,
I just remembered, extremely important. Now, because when you ask about like how other people can be involved, I gave you anyone who's spending money in compute, anyone who's
mm,
selling compute, anyone who's walking down the street want to learn more, Joe
mm,
or whatnot, and someone else who doesn't want to learn more, just want to spend some money and get to be part of this. But there's another,
mhm.
there's another species that it's called AI developers
Yeah,
or
yeah, exactly.
developers in general.
I think we touched
Any
on that a good
software.
amount. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but no, but this is actually any developer who's built
Mm,
any software,
mm.
they can
Add it on. It's just add it on.
they can
Mm,
add it on, and it
mm,
becomes like one of those is that it's like this called Mosaic. The combination of those
mm,
things, the Hector, this is the
mm,
part that we didn't really talk about. So let's say it is a car dealership software.
mhm,
The car dealership software, you put in all the AIs and everything
mhm,
and phenomenal package, and you
mm,
say to the car dealer, here's the software you can spend $100 a month or
mm.
$14,000 perpetual license. Let's say that that's what you come up with.
Yeah, yeah.
But then Hector would be like, I'm gonna put it as part of a node factory and sell different kind of dealer this node factory for 50,000. Now they have the ability to produce those $14,000, 1,024 times during
Mm,
that same period of time. You see what I mean? So they become almost like a distributor of that. every node factory that they produce has the knowledge that they have gained over the last year.
Yes.
Remember, if you're running it
Level, you were saying about leveling up as well, weren't you, earlier? Level one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
but Mosaic is a little bit different. Mosaic is more going to be like on a personal level, if you own all of your brain and
Mm,
you put it into your own things, that's what Mosaic does, my own secure AI companion.
mm,
You plug it into the node and then you be like, well, or you plug it into the node factory, it's
mm,
even better. Why? Because over time, when you produce nodes, you want to maybe rent versions of yourself or sell versions of yourself.
mm,
If somebody takes that version, all the learning that it captured from you, you're willing to give it to somebody, and that somebody will
mm.
take it, will put their own or their
Yeah.
own experience.
Have a
It
version,
becomes
a
like
different version altogether.
it's like
Yeah.
a DNA versus
Yeah,
DNA.
yeah.
Their learning versus yours
Crazy.
together. Together, it has that emergence. Your
Yeah, I'm getting this
intelligence
now.
that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
embedded now into the machine.
Mm, mm.
If anyone anywhere in the world asks a question, your AI agent is gonna have a different answer because it learned from you for the last year before it produced that node.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? So it has different
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
that can actually
But
bring the emergence to
yeah.
level four. There's
Yeah,
something called
yeah.
level four.
There's
Yeah.
it's crazy. But even going back to the average Joe bog standard, you're just running a ordinary kind of AI software business, and you're saying you're cutting out all the things that actually, if you think about it, just a Perplexity or Chat GPT can do. Some advice from a lawyer or some of the accounting or whatever it might be. That AI software is going to have all that information for the average Joe person. It's going to just and that's kind of why I understand more why you say just a machine that's efficient and then it's doing its own thing at that point because it's already covering all the grounds
Yeah.
that you don't
like
really
like
need anymore.
that
Mm,
mosaic thing, you could use ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of these things,
mm.
but it makes them remember you every time you go to the next one.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like it's open to everyone. So it enables any human to be part of this. So that business they do B2C. That's not
mm,
what we do. I'm just saying
yeah.
it's like this is they're building on HyperCycle for the reason like that I've
Yes.
explained.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like that agent intelligence becomes like a hybrid human
Mm,
machine that
mm.
also belongs to you, man.
Yeah, it's like
That's your
your
brain.
digitalized. It's like. Have you seen those films where when the humans worried about dying and then they upload themselves to the computer? I feel like that's kind of
This
what
is
we're
the
getting at
beginning
here,
of the
but from a
upload. It's called Mosaic.
yeah, yeah.
You start to upload, but on your upload,
Mm,
and it's called Mosaic. It will come out maybe next week. They might announce it. I don't know, but it's
yeah,
like, dude, this is super cool because it's like being built on HyperCycle enables you to secure your own brain. Because guess what? At some point in time in the future, people
mm.
they're gonna transcend to the machine,
You have to.
and
Yeah.
they
Mm.
think that the transcending is going to be like some sort of scanner is going to come in and sit on your brain.
You need to.
It's
You need to.
actually
I
it's actually
understand now.
starts right now.
Yeah, you
It
have to.
starts
You have
now.
to. So basically, the message to everyone watching is you are gonna have to spend the time writing and uploading yourself or your information or your
To yourself,
software, your
to a
develop.
repository that belongs to
Yeah,
you
yeah,
as opposed to Amazon
mm,
or opposed to because if you
yeah,
don't do that, they're building a bad copy of you
yeah,
and they're gonna ruin your genetics. Own your brain. That's
yeah.
what I say. Own your brain
Mm-hmm.
and get that thing to protect you throughout. Get that learning, and then guess what? When you have
Mm,
that mosaic of yourself, it can
mm,
work for you while you're
mm.
asleep,
Yeah.
and it can. And then there's the second stage in mosaic, which we can talk about at a separate call. Maybe
Mm,
when my mosaic and your mosaic they can collaborate,
mm-hmm.
and then have some other emergence. Then there is the third phase where multiple mosaic, then my mosaic starts talking to people and all this stuff. So
Mm.
anyway, but it's like it's super cool. Yeah, but thank you so much for this.
No,
And
no,
I know
it's
that we're
yeah. For
both
me, I think we'll have another one.
ran over.
I might try and get some of the end to the beginning as well because it's I think I really understood it towards the end. It's very exciting. I
Actually,
mean,
just keep it as is, man.
okay,
Believe
yeah,
me,
okay, I will, I
whoever is
will, I
listening
will.
to this,
Okay, yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to be like, this is natural, this is unedited.
Yeah, they'll
You
be
see, Hector
rewarded for
promised
staying.
me
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
unedited. And guess what?
Mm,
Believe me, if it's okay if people they miss out on it now,
mm,
but they will remember later on that this is like shit. There's a lot of content here that you talked about the future.
yeah,
It will be in the future that they will happen. So
yeah, yeah,
whoever listens to it now, when that event in the future happens, remind them that you shared this video, but they didn't watch it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Because
exactly. I mean, it's almost it won't suit the YouTube algorithm, but it'll be like you'll be confused at the beginning, but by the end.
Yes.
it'll be how you understand, because when you get
Yes.
through, you'll eventually understand it because
Absolutely.
you were because of how you were confused at the beginning. Yeah.
Hector,
Yeah.
Anthony, who was with us on the call,
Hmm.
he will show you some of the videos a year before Google A to A. I talked about Google A to A is coming,
Yeah. Yeah.
6 months before Microsoft NLWeb, all of those things. It's not like I know because I have some sort of like insider
Hmm.
only. Just because I speak in a lot of events, I know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
people they're building and I know what they're going to be end up coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm giving you a certain version of that future. So by the time you watch it in the future and you see it's like, holy shit, we got talked about it before.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of cool. But the ones that they listened to it before, they have the right to go and tell people, let's see if
Exactly.
this
Yeah,
guy's
yeah.
right about these
I
things.
don't
Yeah.
want to I don't want to even make this even sound like, this isn't metaverse type stuff, but when you were saying about leveling up and you're leveling up this machine and AI of yourself to collaborate with other people, it's kind of like,
Yes.
I mean, I love video games. It's a guilty, hobby of mine. And it's kind of that.
Hmm.
Stop spending time on that. Learn how to level up yourself digitally, not in a game that's not going to come to anything, where that's saved and you can then copy and paste and collaborate with others. So I think that's really good. I mean, just finally, if we've got time, I mean, what would you say the next, you touching on that previous video and then where it got to, touch on maybe like 2 to 3 catalysts, or what's your sort of highest conviction in the next sort of, 2 to 3 months, or next year maybe we'll say.
Oh, I think it's pretty much going to summarize this
Mhm.
talk is I think it's like the next big thing, while everyone is building nodes in 2025, nodes meaning like they're building the machines, they buy a lot
Mhm.
of stuff from NVIDIA or
Mhm.
whatnot. The next big thing is the network, no matter what you call it.
Mhm.
We're calling the Internet of AI. Some people they have some ego, they want to have a different name. It is the Internet of AI. That is the
Yeah,
next big thing. Okay.
100%.
So so look, I mean, we have a lot of folks that they kind of follow our steps and they're doing phenomenal. And you can go and ask MIT, Nanda, and Stanford, and all of these guys. They'll tell you, oh yeah, this guy talked about it first. So it's not like, but right now I'm telling you that like this is the next big thing. So if you tell me for the next year, in
Yeah.
2026, everybody's gonna be like, oh shit, the network. Because guess what? If you spent if you spent
Mm.
$1 billion on infrastructure
Mm.
and you know that it's like it's gonna lose value, whatnot.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need to be part of the network. The more you're connected to more networks, the
Mhm.
better it is.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah. So that's one. Um, the other thing is, I think um, we will be uh, we will be in we're living in the AGI and won't even realize it.
Mm. Mm.
That's something. It's I'm
Yeah, I mean,
highly convinced
what
about
what
it.
would you say to, obviously there are talks of, as you say, an AI bubble, but as we've discussed here, it's kind of learning only kind of grows with AI. It can't really go down. But what would you say to someone like Sam Altman, who there is some concerns on how he structured the company, and he's now asking the US government for basically security. What could you offer someone like him if he digitally uploaded a lot of his stuff?
Oh well, okay. So Sam is he's been doing a lot of great stuff and maybe pissing off a lot of people, some stuff, whatever. But like, when it comes to folks like Sam and Elon, I don't envy these guys. They kind of deal with a lot of stress, and
Mm,
but I think they're in that forefront of it all. But I think
mm,
it's like uh, what they are dealing with and trying to convince people that it's not a bubble or whatnot because they want to make sure they get more investors, they get more of
mm.
these things.
Yeah.
I know that we haven't even hit
Mm,
the emergence.
mm.
Like the emergence is when all of those start talking together,
Yeah.
and we know of some capabilities in technology. We know of those capabilities. They don't know about those capabilities. They're
Mm,
still thinking because sometimes people they're in their field, they're too busy. But when we know that those capabilities are there, and they think that those capabilities will come like later
mm,
on,
mm,
those capabilities are here, and then therefore like it's a matter of time when we kind of make that big boom, and
mm,
that emergence, Hector, will have a lot. a higher value for everybody. Everybody will kind of rise,
Yeah.
including ChatGPT and Gemini and all of that.
Mm.
The thing that some of them they may not necessarily want to talk about because
Mm.
maybe they convince some of their investors that they will get to AGI first.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
While the reality doesn't matter how intelligent one single system is,
Yeah.
when that system is more incentivized to be part of a lot of humans that they're part of it,
Mm.
and more incentivized to be part of a lot of other systems that they're part of it, and more and more and more of that,
Mm.
that like it's kind of like one of my kids, he was 4 years old. He's like, Papa, is a trillion more than infinity? I'm like, Oscar, nothing's more than infinity. He's like, that can't be right. I'm like, why do you say that? He's like, what about infinity plus one? Right. So anyway,
I, I get. I
so
actually, I understand what how he's got to that conclusion. Yeah.
but but how about like ChatGPT plus Gemini? So
Mm.
wait. So you're telling me that ChatGPT is smarter than Gemini and does not need Gemini? But
Mm.
how about ChatGPT plus Gemini?
Mm.
Sorry, like there isn't, no
Mm.
one's gonna win that race because believe me,
Mm.
Hector, if
Mm.
we continue with that race, it will
Mm.
resolve into war, and then we don't want an AI war.
Yes.
If there's an AI war when one team is trying to fight the other team, they don't go and
Mm.
hurt their machine. They hurt the people.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly.
worst thing we can do for the next generation. We do not want an AI race. It will lead
No,
into
no, no.
war.
I get what
We
you're saying.
want
It's
this collaborative
collaborative,
setting.
decentralized. Everyone owns it. I totally get it. I mean,
I
and
wouldn't
then
call it decentralized because they reject that term. Call
yeah,
the
yeah,
Internet of AI. They want their AI to be part of the Internet of AI. Otherwise, they will become like North Korea.
yeah,
You want to be part of the entire world, so they
yeah, yeah.
want that. It's more beneficial to them. That emergence is
Everyone.
beneficial to anybody.
Mm,
So so that's why I really think that like if somebody thinks that we're in a bubble, they have no idea what's coming next
mm,
because
mm,
the existing hardware that exists today
mm.
will get to 100 times more intelligence with the
Yeah.
emergence. So the people they
Yes.
say, "Oh, the bottleneck is hardware." No, it's not. It's not.
Mm.
Once you plug the network and we get to 100x, yes, the bottleneck will be hardware. But
Right.
we have 100x,
It's potential
bro.
before we have hardware issues is basically what you're saying after the chips
100x
and
more
stuff.
intelligence globally
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
that we can,
mm-hmm.
because the same compute that is happening A and B, oh, but it is saturated. What are you talking about? Yes,
Mm.
saturated on its own, but if you put it saturated together, that emergence is a
Yeah.
lot more superior. That's 100x at least. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you so much.
Where do you think of where would you like or where would you be where would you think okay adoption we've hit kind of a hypercycle adoption that will now propel itself forward like on its own. I mean, you were talking about 0.1% of 1 quadrillion, 1,000 trillion, but what percent actually could we? I mean, what's your sort of goal for that? I mean, where would you say you've kind of hit that adoption threshold?
I feel like we've been live for about 2 years and a month with node factories operating over
Mhm.
108,000 of them.
Yeah, 2 years, 2 months.
108,000 node factories have been up and running for over a year and a month. This is not like
Mm.
some sort of like theory project. This
Exactly.
is
Yeah,
like
yeah. I totally
they're
agree.
generating proofs every 15 seconds. They are
Is there anything
producing
that's not been is there
nodes.
anything that's not been done yet? I mean, that was actually another question. Is there anything from the
Of
tech
course,
stack?
there's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
to
yeah.
do. There's always like if you ask a technologist, I'm a technologist.
Yeah.
There's always when the world they view the beautiful things that we've built, we see the 99% other things that we haven't built that we want
Hmm.
to add and all this stuff. So,
Yeah.
but look, um, which which is okay, which is fine. It's that's how it is
Mhm.
in general. So, but anyway, so back to answer your question. So I really think that um the moment I see that the node factory owners, they've got all of their factories, because we have over 680,000 of them, and there's only about 218,000 that kind of like gone in
Mm.
production, all that. When I see all of those node factory owners, they've plugged them with computing center, rather, they're all
Mm.
like pumping
Mm.
and producing nodes. I think when we cross that at least they cross that first generation,
Hmm.
maybe by then we will have like 1 million instead of it's about 700,000 node factories sold,
Yeah.
maybe, which is great. I would like that too.
Yeah.
But then I think this is when I feel like, because I want my clients, which I call them my partners, the
Hmm.
1,723, to them be profitable. How does a node factory owner is profitable? Is when they produce nodes.
Yeah.
Now, some of the nodes they are used to add intelligence, which they don't generate any revenue. Some of the nodes they're used for revenue.
Revenue.
But
Yeah.
the point is that a node factory owner, the only way that well, the main way that you can make money is like you produce those nodes. You see?
Hmm.
So that's why I want everyone to have
Yeah,
their
yeah.
node
Well, it's
factory
interesting you
plugged
say
in
that because we hadn't
and
touched on that. It's basically so the nodes actually there. We did touch on intelligence, but also well making money and then also being more efficient. And that's what you're saying here. The nodes either
yeah, because
produce
there's a
revenue or they're
confusion.
intelligent.
Sometimes people
Mm.
they look into the node that they have produced that they are barely like it's kind of like a baby who's still crawling into your own home
Mm.
and you're checking like what that baby how much that baby is making money or like the car
Mm.
you just made your car factory made a car but somebody's driving the car for leisure and then they
Yeah,
maybe they don't necessarily have to be an Uber driver
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so what I'm trying to say is that like
Good
the
point.
main
Mm.
reason why people they like those examples that I gave you that people they producing the nodes and they're worth $700,000. That's the production of the nodes,
Yeah,
not how much the nodes themselves they make. The
yeah, yeah,
nodes themselves they make. This is not wealth creation. This is more revenue
yeah, yeah, yeah,
minus expenses equal the profit. All of that. This is what the nodes they make.
yeah, yeah.
But the real business that we are here, we're
The
providing
intelligence is
factories
worth something. Yeah.
that they create nodes.
Mm.
So it's basically our clients or our partners. They're the future internet service provider
Yeah.
for the Internet of AI.
The intelligent machine is worth a value, is what you're saying. And then the nodes are the things that produce revenue. And yes, you're making money in the process, but then actually the machine itself, which is the intelligent being you've made, is also is also worth a value, which we created 3.3 million and ten
We're
hundred
yeah,
thousand earlier. Yeah.
we're we're
Mm.
the only ones that attribute that and create that value in a fully independent setting. There is zero dependence.
Mm.
Hypercycle can die, and no factory owner they can still have
Mm.
whatever like that car deal that I told you about, or like the
Yeah.
doctor's office or
Mhm.
whatever things that you plug into it. You're able to capture all of that wealth creation yourself. You don't
Mhm.
come and share
Mhm.
it with me, or this is all
Yeah.
belong to you. So
Mm.
yeah, the only thing we're super transparent of how we make money. We have 1% from the after everybody makes
Yeah.
99%
Yeah.
from the revenue, not even
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
wealth
People are
creation. We
used
don't
to
take part
gas
of the wealth
fees and
creation.
stuff, and this is way more. This is less gas fees than they're ever used to paying as well. So this is
Well, and it isn't fees, it isn't transaction, it is more royalty because
yeah.
sometimes there's like 1,000 transactions before the effectuated actual compute is done.
Mm. Right.
So it's like,
Okay.
but those
Yes.
transactions, there's zero
Zero point
fees.
zero zero
Eh,
zero one dollars or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
because
Yeah.
because the
Mm.
entire work that is being done at 0.001 cent,
Mm.
there is no transaction fees. But
Mm.
after that work is being completed,
Deleted. Yeah.
then there is 1% of that
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
royalty. Royalty is different than transactions. There's no transaction fees. The reason why there's no transaction fees is the work to effectuate that is being done by A and B. Because
Mm.
if someone else tries to tell you, oh, we have zero fees, but they're hiding the cost. We're
Mm.
not hiding the cost. The cost is being operated by A and B.
Mm.
You can't hide from cost. In this universe, things that move will cost things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're just gonna cost.
Huh.
So yeah, we're super transparent about those things. Yeah, but thank you so much
No,
for
in fact, yeah, we're gonna have to
having me and
cut it there. But yeah, no, it's been a great call. And we'll have to arrange another one sooner rather than later. For all those that maybe were confused at the beginning and didn't stay all the way to the end. So yeah, no, look forward to that. And thank you very much for hopping on.
yeah, and I would really love to see this to grow to 10,000 node factory owners and grow all of us and really see a lot of success across the board. So thank you so
Awesome,
much. Take
awesome.
care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cheers, cheers. Bye bye.